Hi, everybody. Can you make that bigger? So, it wouldn't be Cherrywood Live if we didn't have some drama at the last second. Usually it's the last minute. Yeah, just grab the corner, make it bigger. But this time, it's the last second. So, poor Lorene is going to have to hold that camera for me. Oh my God. Oh, and the color's horrible. Okay, let's give her a little chance to adjust the light and the focus. And you could try to clamp it onto right there. Then you don't have to hold it. Okay, that's better. So as we're getting set up here, let us know you're out there. Do you want some help?
Yeah, I can handle both.
So, I will loosen this.
Okay.
And let's just put it. Oh my gosh.
Look at her.
Come on, baby. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Good thing we had two cameras set up, because one pooped the bucket 12 seconds before we went live. And that doesn't seem very stable. Can you? You got a better angle? I'll hold this, you crank that. How about, can we let it rest on that?
Oh, maybe.
I'll do a song and dance. Hi. I can't see the comments yet. I am Karla Overland, owner of Cherrywood Fabrics. And here we are. Okay. Cherrywood Live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our Thursday night show. It's Thursday night, 7 o'clock Central. And this isn't so bad. Let's have to do it. We might be jiggling a little bit here, but I'm going to get started. Thank you for joining me. We are going to be also streaming on Quilters Shopping Network, which is a brand new platform. Now I assume you can hear me because I can see my audio. I can't quite see your comments yet. We're getting there. Tonight we're going to talk about our cherry rolls, which everybody has heard of jelly rolls, but that's a Moda name and that's trademarked. So we call ours cherry rolls. Everything I'm going to show you tonight is available for sale on our website, which is cherrywoodfabrics.com. And you can comment if you don't want to switch back and forth and leave us a comment like, I really want to get this, because we read every single comment. We try to answer any questions. Lorene's here to help me. Excuse me. So, what is our cherry roll? So the quilt behind me, which happens to match me, isn't that lovely? That is made from 2 of our cherry rolls. So, this is our cherry roll. And we don't actually roll it anymore. When we first started selling these, we did roll them. But we found that we needed to protect them in plastic, because I'm sure you've probably bought rolls in the past that all that fuzz just kind of makes a mess. So we keep them in plastic to keep them clean. And I might have to get closer to the camera. Once we get going, maybe we can get a better close-up. But what these are, they're 2.5-inch strips. And Lorene, when you get a chance, I think you have to lock my focus. She's going to focus on my nose. I'm kind of blurry. Oh, there we are. No, she can lock it, then we won't jump around so much. I am sure that many of you out there can appreciate the techno craziness. There's just so many. This is connected to that, to that, to that. So if this part goes, then that triggers that part. So you understand, right? So we die cut these ourselves, and I think I'm going to trust that we're ready. I have a little video again. I like to make my little videos, and we will get that going. And I will kind of tell you what's going on. So there's me, and that's Linda, and see, she's cranking that. So everything goes through it's an AccuCut. It's kind of an older machine. We've had it for many years. Right now she is getting all of the colors collated and pressed so that they can be cut down to a chunk that'll fit on that tray that you see there. So on the left-hand side, you see a black tray. We can only cut 5 strips at a time. So, and how many layers can we cut, Lorraine? I think it's 8 layers. Yes. But each piece, sorry for the frog in my throat. Each piece is folded in half. So she carefully lines up the folded edge so that we get a perpendicular cut. And this, of course, is sped up so fast that you can't see her, but she's cranking it through. And then just let it go, Lorraine.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's cranking it through. She'll get through the first 8 colors, and she'll do 8 more, and then 8 more. So there's 24 colors, and we put together 3 8-step gradations, and they're really fun to put together because it's nice to see how one, oh, there I can see, there's 19 of you. Hi, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so we try to get colors that go from one gradation to the next to just get a continual 24-step gradation. So if we click back to me, I'm going to show you, we have 2 cherry rolls that are on our regular, on our website. And sometimes we have more, sometimes we have less, but this quilt is kind of one of our older quilts. It's called Right on Target, and you're not going to be able to see that, but we have the pattern. It's called Right on Target. The pattern is $10.50, and we don't have a kit for this because all you need to do is get the pattern and 2 cherry rolls to make a quilt this size. And it's put together kind of like a log cabin. You have a center square, you add a square and a square, then you add those sides, then you add these, and you keep building. And I made this quilt top, and what I did was laid out all my colors, which I'm going to do now because it's so pretty. And I kind of grouped them into light and dark. So the strips are 2.5 inches wide and width of fabric. So our fabric is 44 inches wide, 44, 45, so it's the normal width. And since we keep the colors in gradation, you can simply keep them in order. Or, of course, since these are dyed in gradation, you can mix them up, and even if you get one out of place, I'm going to talk about one of my designs that I teach a workshop for, and people get, oh my gosh, I think I have one out of place, but most of the time you can't tell. Oh, look at that, we just fell down. So, hopefully you don't get seasick watching me. We'll get set back up. I apologize for this, but we lost our main camera literally at the last second. So I appreciate my wonderful, patient viewers out there. So far, see how lovely that gradation is. And I haven't counted how many strips I've pulled out of here yet. But I design patterns that go with our fabric and show it off. And I like to just keep the colors in order, keep it simple, let the color do the work. And now we're getting into Kiwi Berry here, 8-step gradation. Oh, there. The selvage ends are still on there, so we have a nice tight weave in the selvage. This is all hand-dyed fabric that we do right here. Oh, let me back up. Some of you may be just joining us for the first time. We are in Brainerd, Minnesota, and we are in a studio here that we start with white fabric and we dye it all of these beautiful colors. A little bit hot, so I'm going to stand back here. So this all starts as unbleached muslin, so it's an off-white color, and we formulate all these gorgeous colors to dye it, and it has a trademark look of suede. And that's really what makes us stand out and be special. One of the things that makes us stand out. Just lovely to work with. There is no right or wrong side. So when you're working on a quilt like this and you got to grab the next strip, you just grab it and put it on. You don't have to worry about, oh, I sewed it on the wrong side, because it just makes it so much easier. Your brain can just forget about that part of it. And as you see, now the colors in the gradation are becoming more bluish purple. And I'm just going to start another row here. So for this quilt, right about at that point, I separated out all the purples and berry colors and a little bit of the bronze so that I could get the design of the quilt to show up, so that I would have contrast between light and dark, as you see there. And then as you go out, of course, the strips are bigger, and this is longer than 44 inches. So there are a lot of seams in here. There's a seam. If this strip ran out, I just added another that was close to the same color. By the time we got out to the edges, I was changing colors, use it all up. And when the strip is too short, you just add it end to end and keep going. Again, no right or wrong side. So fun little pattern, right on target. Again, it's 1050, and it is on our website under the Patterns tab. When we go live every week, we have some things that are one of a kind, or they're limited quantities. And we have a tab on our website. It's in the main menu at the top, or a little bit farther down on the page. And on the far right, there's a tab for live. And that's these kind of things that I'm going to show you tonight. I'm going to grab a sip here. And we do have some special things that we try to come up with just for you guys, because you're so patient putting up with all of this craziness. Okay, so I still have 8 more colors here out of the Thistle Gradation. And I chose this one to add in there because our Thistle Gradation is some really subtle color changes. This brownish taupey into light grays into a really periwinkle. Oh, there's the comments. Oh, good, I can see who's here. Yeah. Okay, there's my dad. And Vicki and Samantha and Kitty and Robin. Oh my goodness, this makes me so happy. Love to hear that. I'm happy that you're here. So, I'm scatterbrained tonight, so you're just going to have to put up with me. Beautiful color. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next. Okay, this is a limited edition bundle. We only have, I believe, 13 of these, 11 or 13 of these, because that's one batch. Remember I said she cuts the pieces down, runs them through the die cutter, and it yields 13 bundles. So this will be on the live tab on our website, and when they're gone, they're gone. We could make more, but a lot of times when we discontinue a cherry roll, it's because one of the gradations is not behaving. And by that I mean the dyes change so much. Like, for instance, this gradation from the periwinkle to the taupe is probably the hardest gradation I have, because the difference between each color is so little that if my mixing is off just a little, it doesn't have a nice smooth gradation. So I'm pretty picky about the gradations because I know you guys appreciate that. So this pattern, you need 2 of these lilac bouquet is what we're calling the purples and magentas. Or we have another limited quantity one that it's bigger. This one, we decided instead of giving you 1 strip of each color, we're going to give you 2 strips of each color. All my strips. Remember, I was thinking, I'm sure you guys remember, I've lost her name. She's only like the most famous quilter in the world, Eleanor Burns, and she'd like throw her strips. So I thought, what if I throw my strips? Because I like to make a mess, and then Lorene has to pick it up. I should say that you get about 2 yards of fabric in a cherry roll. So, yeah, you're getting quite a bit there. And the price, I always forget to say the price, is $42 for 24 hand-cut strips. As you can see, Linda cuts every single one of these strips. So this collection, I believe on the website, we're calling it Soft and Subtle. And it is a combination of our Arizona bundle that goes from a kind of our seed glass aqua. And this is a very dusty collection, and it goes into terracottas that really remind me of when I used to visit my grandma in Arizona, hence the name. So I didn't open the strips up, so now what you're seeing is just 22 inches, but of course each strip is twice that long, 44 inches. And then our colorways are 8-step gradations, and again, if you're new to Cherrywood, we talk in those terms of 8-step, 4-step, 12-step. That's just the number of colors that are bundled together. So this is our Arizona bundle right here. All of these colors. This is a fat quarter bundle, and it also, so each piece is 1 fat quarter. We also have half-yard bundles and full-yard bundles. Our fabric is $20 a yard, and again, we dye it right here. In fact, the washing machines are right there. Can't see them. Stick with us because every week I'm giving you little peeks into the building here because we do give tours. Eventually, when life is normal again, we would love to see you come up to Brainerd, Minnesota and spend a day with us. We have a little bit of space that we can do classes possibly, but definitely tours. We've actually hosted tour buses, and it's been a lot of fun. So the other colorway, what did I do with the rest of the, oh, it's hiding. Here it is. So then our Potter's Wheel bundle is our lightest colorway, and this is kind of interesting. We have been known for dark colors, so you fans out there that have been sticking with us for over 30 years know that the original owner, Dawn, had a lot of really dark, rich Amish colors, just gorgeous, but mostly mediums and darks. So when I came on board 20 years ago, can't believe it's 20 years already, that is really bright. Do you want to maybe touch the screen, Lorene, on the light part, and then it will use that as the white balance? There. Oh, that's so much better. I don't care if you can see me. I just want you to see the colors. That is much better. Yeah, I can be in the dark. So I was talking about the light colors. I started going to shows and listening to you guys, and just, getting more familiar with what our customers need. I heard a lot about, I have mediums and darks in my collection, but I don't have any lights to go with it. And of course, we need contrast in our quilt designs to make them show off. So at the time, I couldn't tell you what year it was, but Martha Stewart was very popular. She was on TV everywhere, talk shows, and I just loved her aesthetic. And I think these were paint colors or egg colors or something, but totally inspired by Martha Stewart. Couldn't call it Martha Stewart because, well, you know why. Trademark and all that. And I had a few people tell me that people won't buy that. It's too light. Cherrywood's known for darks. And we brought this to Houston for the first time to premiere it there. It was the first color that sold out, just flew off the shelf, just because it's a nice contrast. And you can you can see pretty well that, like, this one has blue. So a lot of times I will take a formula and just bring it way, way down. So it's going to mimic a lot of these colors. This is a green that's just a lot dustier than this. So basically what I'm trying to say is the Cherrywood gradations just work beautifully together. And this might be a nice, I was talking about keeping them in order, but you don't have to. And if you like that scrappy look, you can mix them up, fruit basket upset, and it's just going to look great. It's going to look different, more contrast. A little bit of terracotta in there. You get the idea. It's a little more stripy, but that beautiful suede texture is what holds this all together. And again, this is soft and subtle. There's a very limited quantity on them. We only have 13. And there are, how many strips in here? It's $56. There's 32 strips, 16 colors, but you get 2 strips of each color. So you can be a little more controlled in a quilt like this. You can, actually, this was kind of a happy accident. If you tuned in with me last week for Christmas in July, I was talking about the Starstorm quilt. And didn't realize that I was choosing the same gradations to cut this limited cherry roll in. So you could use that cherry roll to make the Starstorm Mini. This is a pattern by Victoria Finlay Wolf. This is, there's a large version that is huge, 80 inches square. This is the 40-inch square mini quilt. And we're going to come back to that a little later because I have a fun announcement about the Starstorm. So remind me to tell you our surprise. Limited edition, 32 strips, 2 strips of each color, 18 colors. That's a lot of numbers. All right, so what else can you do with the strips? Cherry rolls. I showed you the star. Now I'm going to show you our best-selling pattern is Cherry Roll Vine. How many of you out there have made a Cherry Roll Vine? We have sold so many of these quilt patterns. And let me tell you the background of this pattern. This was my first pattern that I designed and wrote and self-published. And it all came from Mexico. When I turned 40, I treated myself to a trip to Mexico and brought my sketchbook and just like soaked it all in and was just kind of sketching everything that I saw. And I think it was the palm trees or the trunk of the palm trees and the striping. I sketched out this little design literally on a napkin, brought it back, and started cut the strips. And again, I just wanted to keep those strips in order to make them do all the work. So when you buy the kit of the Cherry Roll Vine, this is exactly how it comes. You saw me take out a few strips here. These are for binding, so they're pre-cut. And all of this will turn into the quilt. It's an efficient use of fabric. It's a forgiving way of putting it together. And super easy. Let me show you the actual quilt. Cherry roll vine. I show it this way. So you see the striping of the background, and you also see that the leaves are striped. That's because the leaf shape is cut out of a strip set. So the complex piecing and angles of all that stuff is just because of the way you put it together. When I teach this class, it's a 6-hour class, and almost everybody walks out with a quilt top ready to start appliquing the edges. Some students already do start the applique. And this kit is, the quilt is 30 by 48 inches. The kit is $61. And that includes the pattern. So the pattern came folded up in the bag. And you also get the option of, you can use the pre-cut strips, or you can just buy the pattern and use a fat quarter 8-step bundle. And that's what I show here. The forest floor one that's just green and brown, that's showing what it would look like if you just use 8 colors and repeat them. Just a little bit different look, and gives you more flexibility in case you're not so keen into these colors that we cut into strips and you want to pick a bundle that would work. Just a fat quarter 8-step bundle will make this quilt top. And then you'll need 2 yards extra for binding and backing. So I have another version, a couple versions here. This was one of my earliest. In fact, this might have been the first one I put together to test it out. A little more tropical kind of feel to it. The top colors are Blue Lagoon Gradation, which we still have. And then the rest of it is, unfortunately, discontinued bundles. But you can see how simple it is to, it's like you're making your own ombre, really. But you've got the gorgeous suede texture holding it all together. Then this quilt top, I'm stepping on strips here. This is our North Shore Gradation, which is Lorene's favorite. And unfortunately, it is discontinued. But I just wanted to show you what that pattern would look like if you cut your own strips out of 8 fat quarters. It's really interesting to think that this just, what I'm holding here, came from 8 fat quarters. Now, you're not going to be able to see it on camera, but there is no vine that's actually appliqued on here. I simply draw a vine on and stitch and use that as a guide for placing the leaves. And if you take the class, I can give you ideas on how to make that veins stand out with quilting. And yeah, anyway, you should take a class. I'm so excited to tell you about the classes, but I'm not going to yet. Oops, I let it slip. Okay, cherry roll vine. And this, I forgot to mention, the colors that are used in the cherry roll vine are hot and spicy. So the hot and spicy cherry roll is always on our website. I believe it's under miscellaneous. 24 strips for $42. Now, a very similar version, and it's actually put together the same way, but a little bit different colors and a different shape. I just love circles. They're calming to me. They're fun to play with. This quilt can go any which way. I give you some ideas about the layout options. I named this quilt Orbit because those shapes are orbiting around the center column that's created by the strip sets. Okay, here's the kit. Orbit. And again, this kit is $61, and you get all of the pre-cut strips to do the quilt top. And then you also get, it's either 5 or 6 extra strips for a pieced binding in various colors. These are going to vary with each kit. It's a little surprise. Or you could get 2 yards of fabric that will do the backing and also the binding like I did on this one. The binding and backing were the same. And you can kind of see on the camera, I'm applying the circles down onto the quilt top, but I also went around them a second time as I was quilting. So it's a zigzag, but I'm quilting. I guess you could call it zigzag quilting. And I used a variegated thread that picked up all the colors in the quilt and made the edge of the circle stand out a little bit more. So again, this is Orbit with pre-cut cherry roll strips. And the kit is $61, including the pattern, which is folded up in the bag here. So I'm catching my breath now. Do we have any questions along the way? I can see the comments now and see who's here joining us. There's Karen, Carmen, love, love, love. What do you love, Carmen? Just all of it, or like a specific thing? It's just really nice for you to comment and let me know that I'm not just standing here talking to an iPad. What else can you do with pre-cut strips? Oh, I was going to talk about the fact that we hand crank and cut these ourselves. We have, I chose purposely to not have a pinked edge. I personally don't like that because when you're lining up the pinking, how do you line it up and where do you start, 1/4 inch. So just the hand cut straight edge works well. And it's very labor intensive, obviously. Linda works at it all day and all she ends up with is 13 cherry rolls. So we are looking into partnering with a neighbor of ours right here in Brainerd that does a lot of apparel sewing and cutting, and they have a much better way for us to cut. And I just need to connect with them because I know that people would love to have charm packs, layer cakes. In fact, let me know what is your desire for pre-cuts for cherry wood. I'm envisioning a charm pack of all the colors, or at least all of the 8-step gradations, and get a nice big stack of just 1 square of each one. I think that would be luscious, and actually a lot of people have asked, how do we get one of every of your colors? So that is on the roster for me to look into, and hopefully on the horizon we will get some more pre-cuts. So there's no pattern for this. We've been calling it quick quilt or quick strip. So this is using I believe it's just 1, possibly 2. That I'm not sure, but the more strips you have, obviously the bigger the quilt is. And I'm sure some of you have made some of these quilts like this. And the basic idea is to sew 2 strips together, end to end, full Monty charms. Whoop! That would be awesome. We sell the full Monty. That's what we call it. And that's a yard each of all of these colors that you see here. And then we have a half Monty, a half yard piece. And we have a 1/4 Monty, and we have a mini Monty, and we have a micro Monty. So we have something for everybody on our website, cherrywoodfabrics.com. So this idea is take the strips, sew them together the short way first. Then I have to think because it's been a while. Then you fold it in, well, what you need to do is make one of these staggered. So I would just randomly cut at whatever length so that when you fold it in half, that seam joining those two colors together is staggered and doesn't end up showing up in the same area of your quilt. Now that's folded in half. I would cut that fold, and that would mean I have created 2 more strips. It's my board under here. Now I'm going to join those strips the long way, all the way there. Then I'm going to fold that in half, cut that fold, and keep going like that, keep going. You can sew it straight across, but it's a lot more interesting to sew it. Sew it at an angle. How can I show this better? The angle kind of makes it southwestern looking. Yeah, the green one shows up pretty good. Sew it at a 45-degree angle. So that's one colorway. I don't remember. I think Texas Ranch is one of the colorways in here. And then we have a second one out of our softer colors. I keep teasing you with the North Shore gradation. Here it is. Actually, I think this was our robin egg gradation. And the quilting on this, I just love it. Let me turn it around. I believe this is quilted by, oh, that's not going to show, Paula Jo Cedarquist. She is a local machine quilter that's wonderful and fast. That maybe didn't show up as well, but just a real quick quilt. Great for a gift, graduation gift, baby. This is kind of a baby quilt size. And just play with your strips. So no pattern for that, but I do have patterns for the vine and orbit that I showed you. And there's also no pattern for this. This was one of our original colorways of cherry rolls. And I was playing with, okay, sew all the strips together, that's great, but how do we jazz it up? What if I cut curves, like wallpaper cut curves into 2 layers so that I could interchange this curve with that curve and get a color change? And of course, that means that the seam allowance changes in the curves, so then your seams don't line up there. But that's when you tell yourself, all right, I'm an art quilter. Things don't have to line up, and I'm just going for effect and color. And this is a pretty simple way. Now I've cut it into columns and played with the placement of the columns until I found something interesting. Okay, if you're just joining us, welcome. Cherrywood Live. This is all hand-dyed fabric made here in Brainerd, Minnesota. And speaking of some quilting, we just got some quilts back from the quilters. And I'm so excited, I just have to show you. Oh, you can probably see the back side. Can anyone guess what that is? I'm actually holding it upside down. That's not fair. There's the beautiful quilting on the back. And this is also a quilt that I showed on one of our earlier live shows way back when. This is called Groovy Guitar Reboot. And it's by Robbie Joy Ecklo. Love her style. Fusible applique, which means it gives you the flexibility of cutting any shape you want, all fused on. And this is made out of just 4 colors in the background. So we've got our camel, our paprika, our mocha, and our bronze. That's what it is. And then it's all fused onto a onyx black background. Again, that is called Groovy Guitar. And I know we are limited on patterns on that. I don't have a count, but we can get more. But just know that we're a little bit limited. So if it does say sold out, just give us an email and we can get one ordered for you. And this quilt just came back, this lovely quilt that you've seen hanging up and I've talked about before. This is Hospitality, and pineapples go up. Hospitality. This was designed by Margaret from Eye of the Beholder, and she is a machine applique teacher, a hand applique teacher, both regular applique, reverse applique, which might be a term that some of you, it might be new to you. You can actually do reverse applique. And we collaborated between her as the designer, me as the color fabric, and then Karla from Siesta Jewelry designed some earrings and pendants to go with this. And it was supposed to be premiered in the Paducah Spring Show, so we're premiering it here. And I just wanted to show off the quilting. We had her quilt kind of like the pineapple tops into the pineapple squares. And like each of the roofs, she does a lot of back and forth to just kind of fill in. And this quilt was quilted by Donna Westerkamp. And I forget where she lives, but I will put her contact information on this in the comments when I get a chance. Donna Westerkamp. The quilt is called Hospitality, and it's on our website. Okay, now I need a sip of water, and for these live events, I like to feature the people that are out there selling cherry wood and that we collaborate with, designers, and I have a whole list of people that I want to share with you and introduce you to, and give them a little bit of love. So I in January, well, I'm going to show you a little clip of my chat with Vicki Skeegan of Englewood, Colorado. And she has a quilt shop called Wooden Spools. And I visited her in January of this year. And it's a really unique shop. So enjoy this little video while I have a little sip to drink, and we'll see you in a little bit.
You just start.
Is it Skeegan?
Skeegan.
Skeegan. Okay, let me start over.
Okay.
I'm excited today to be talking to Vicki Skeegan from Wooden Spools. It's a great quilt shop in Englewood, Colorado that I had the opportunity to visit in January of this year, which seems like years ago because
Ages ago, yeah.
ages ago.
Uh,
So Vicki, how have you been during all of this?
we've been doing well.
I give up. I think it's the metal plate in my neck. I seriously have a metal plate in my neck, and I think I'm just, everything works so perfectly when you guys aren't watching, I swear. Sorry about that. I will show you that little conversation we had next week because it's a fun shop, and she's doing some interesting things that I would like to share with you. So let's get to my big news. It's not that big, but it's big for me because I haven't done it before. I'm going to do some Zoom classes, which I hinted at last week. Oh, that's super small, but it's kind of my cheat sheet to remind me. So I'm going to do the Star Storm Mini as a Zoom class, and I want it to be a bunch of us getting together in my sewing room and sewing together. Remember the good old days when we actually got together and sewed and talked and ate brownies and drank wine? That's what I really want us to do because I miss you guys. This is, again, a pattern by Victoria Finlay Wolf, and it's strip piecing and templates, and we could do it in 4 hours. Hopefully most of us can do it in 4 hours. So I have picked a Sunday afternoon where we can all gather in my home sewing studio. I will get it cleaned up. I'll gather there through Zoom. And I chose the Zoom platform because I want to be able to see you and converse with you rather than this where I can't see you. So it's $100, which includes the kit. So we are going to be doing Christmas quilts, and you'll see this better on our website. We've got a traditional green and red kit, and then we've got a blue and gold kind of more regal blue Christmas kit. So for $100, you get the entire kit for the top and binding. You get a 4-hour afternoon with me and one-on-one instruction, or not really one-on-one, but it'll work like hopefully a class. If you have a question as you're sewing, you can unmute yourself, and so it'll be 4.5 hours for me. Well, yeah, maybe 4.5. And again, this is my first time doing it, so you guys can give me feedback on what works and what doesn't. Hopefully technology will be on our side. 4 hours of just fun. And you can hop on and hop off, if you need to. I think you can leave the meeting and come back if you want to sew on your own. If you want to just watch and hang out with us for 4 hours, that's great. And then do the sewing later, whatever you want to do. So it's Sunday, August 16th from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock Central Time. This is all, on our homepage of the website. And we do need to have a cutoff, mainly because we want to get your kit sent to you in time so that you're not rushed and you have the fabric ready to go by Sunday, August 16th. So our cutoff date is August 9th. So $100 and you'll have an afternoon of fun and a beautiful quilt. And I have a interesting way of putting this together. It's a little different than the pattern, so I want to show you my tips and tricks. So I'm also going to offer the Cherry Wool Vine as a class. Same idea, a Zoom class for 4 hours. I'm picking Sundays because it just kind of seems like a relaxing day. Maybe not for everybody, but set aside your Sunday afternoon, spend it with me, and I think that's just before school starts. Yeah, good point. So August 16th, maybe your kids aren't in school or you're not back to school or however that's going to go. The Cherry Roll Vine class is going to be Sunday, September 20th. And that'll also be an afternoon from 1 to 5 Central Time. And we're going to close registration on that on September 13th so that we have time to get the kit sent to you. Yes, get some buddies to join. Exactly. Like, in fact, I'm thinking of an incentive program to get some newbies for you to either bring your quilting buddies that you miss from Quilt Club. We can't get together anymore. A relative, a mom, a son, a daughter, grandkids. What a great thing to spend, okay, we're going to sign up and 4 hours together and grandma will help you sew. And we're talking straight line sewing. We're using strips, so they're pre-cut. What could be easier? Maybe if you are working with somebody who's afraid of a rotary cutter or just not quite ready for a rotary cutter, these kind of projects are perfect because the strips are pre-cut. They are put in color order. It's like jump-starting your projects, and I think it'd be really fun if we get some mother-daughter, father-son things. I'm going to try to get John to join and sew. Wouldn't that be funny? A few of you know John, sometimes called Mr. Cherrywood. I think it'd be, I've seen him sew on the sewing machine, but he might make an appearance. And we might have some other guests that pop in or sew along with us. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And basically, you're getting a free class because with the cost of the fabric and the kit, I'm not charging much or anything for my time. I just want to get together and sew. And new people, feeling cherrywood and sewing with it, and I'll give you tips on pressing. And so join me. Cherry Roll Vine, Sunday, September 20th from 1 to 5. All right, now you may have seen behind me this cool pattern here. I'm not going to touch it because my mannequin is kind of tippy, but this isn't sewn on yet. We've just pinned it to show. This is a vintage lace piece that has been hand colored or hand dyed by Wendy Richardson. She's a friend of mine, another dyer from Minnesota, that we've featured a lot and shown a lot with cherrywood. And she finds vintage items and hardanger and crocheted and linen things and just dyes beautiful colors on them. And we thought this would be a cool way to show off these pieces. If you just get a simple denim shirt or a denim jacket, and ooh, doesn't that look cool? That just looks so powerful. On the back of a shirt or a jacket, when you walk away, people are going to be like, what? That is amazing. Come back here. So she carefully places the colors to fit the crocheting style. These are one of a kind. The two that you see here are on our website in the live section. And we have more. We're periodically adding them to the website. So check that live tab often because we've got a lot of stuff that we just need to photograph and get up there. So one of a kind pieces. Grab them when you see them. I just love the color in that. Isn't that amazing? So Robin says her husband wants to sew a quilt instead of just cutting my fabric. Yeah, it's a machine. Men like machines. We can get them on these machines. And what better time than now? I do want to talk about my vest. Oh, it's almost 8 o'clock. We had a bumpy start, but you may be curious about my vest, which I don't know if it shows up because I'm camouflaged with this quilt here. It's a lot of the same colors. And I wore it tonight because the pieces, oops, I'm sorry. That made a lot of noise, I'm sure. Sorry. I wore it tonight because I wanted to show you this mung panel. Oh, here, let me get organized. There was a Hmong woman who is no longer with us that would buy cherry wood and make these beautiful Pandau panels out of cherry wood. Look at that. Extreme detail, reverse applique, teeny tiny little stitches. I wish I could show you just how amazing they are. So, of course, I bought as many as I could, and I hung on to them, kind of like some people hang on to their cherry wood, and just waiting for that moment. And I decided I'm not able to enjoy it while it's sitting in a drawer, so how about I wear it? And it just hit me that I didn't want two large squares, so I actually cut one of the panels, chopped it off so that it ended up on my lapel, and then used the rest of it on the back. So I didn't throw that piece away. I put it on different parts. So this is a compilation of different fabrics. It's a good example of mixing cherry wood with Kaffe Fassett fabrics. Some of these pieces are from a class for, I took a class on learning how to make piping. You end up with little bits of stuff, and I decided to put it all together in a random way, build my own fabric, and then cut a pattern piece out of that. And the pattern, I love this vest because it's long enough to really have a nice big space to show off some cool fabrics and just play. And this pattern is, what's it called? It's by Lorraine Torrance. It's on our website. It's not the Mary Grace. It's Pacific Rim. Yep, and it's Pacific Rim is the actual pattern shape. So, I think that brings me to the end of my pile. Thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate just I'm seeing a lot of names show up that I've been seeing every week, so I really appreciate that. Do check out our website, cherrywoodfabrics.com. If you need to email us, we have customer service at cherrywoodfabrics.com or info@cherrywoodfabrics.com. We're here, we're dyeing fabric as much as we can, and we're coming up with all sorts of different ways to reach out to you, so we appreciate you coming along for the ride. So we'll see you next week when I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about yet, so it'll be a surprise, 7 o'clock Thursday night, Central Time. So have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.